So welcome everyone. I'm Andrew Dailey of MGI Research, and this session is Beyond Billing, the Relationship Economy. I'm joined by the CEO of BillingPlatform, Dennis Wall. We're delighted to have Dennis back at the Monetize Forum stage. Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you, Andrew, and thanks to MGI.
So let's jump right into it here. First, for those who don't know BillingPlatform, give us a sense of your business.
Sure. Thanks, Andrew. I know I don't have to tell you this, but recurring revenue relationships are becoming the norm. And with them, the complexities of managing those relationships. I mean, you can have a simple type of recurring revenue relationship like a Netflix subscription, for example. But then take a look at what the insurance industry is doing with autos, right? You can pay for your auto insurance by the mile now, or bike sharing in some of the major cities around the world. So our cloud-based platform gives enterprises the flexibility to support any kind of business relationship, whether it be from quote to cash. And it starts with our core product, Billing Cloud, where we can support literally any kind of billing model, whether it be usage, whether it be subscription, whether it be transaction, or really any variation thereof. And from that core, we've continued to expand our capabilities to cover billing, revenue recognition, collections, portals. Nucleus Research recently did a study and found that one of our customers is really realizing annual savings from between $3 and $9 million due to greater operational efficiencies combined with their ability to get products and services to market more quickly and creatively.
Got it. So you've introduced this concept of the relationship economy. I'm sure folks have heard of the subscription economy, the usage economy. What is the relationship economy, and does the world need a new economy?
We all need new economies after COVID, but and you know, I've heard MGI reference the usage economy, and I think that there's a lot of similarities or complements. I think the point is not every customer is signing up for a subscription. And not every customer is paying for usage. Some customers simply want to execute a single transaction. Some want a subscription, but with variability so that when their usage exceeds certain thresholds, they can manage it that way. And again, all the variations in between. But more than that, more than just billing, like how does your enterprise create a seamless experience for the customer where you have the flexibility to offer any kind of product or service in a variety of models? Simple things like being able to consolidate everything onto a single invoice, or being able to generate invoices at the business unit level, or a single platform where you can have all of your data to be able to analyze trends, tendencies, churn risk, where you can proactively make recommendations to your customers as to their best way to manage their contractual relationship with you. And I think that's why we've been talking about this concept of the relationship economy. It's as more customers or companies move to recurring revenue relationship models, you have to earn that customer's business every day and demonstrate value.
Got it. So we've been talking at MGI about this notion of monetization being an organizational endeavor, something that's not a single project. It doesn't happen in a couple months, but happens over a longer period of time and encompasses the whole spectrum of capabilities within monetization. And at the forum, a number of sessions are really talking about how do we break that up into kind of bite-sized chunks? The proverbial, how does the mouse eat the elephant one bite at a time? You have this saying, which
Yep.
we really like, which is think big, start small. What does that mean to you? And put that kind of in the context of monetization.
Well, I think the foundational element of that is, and I'm sure what your sessions are going to be talking about, is that automating processes in the quote to cash lifecycle are not easy, and it can be a forcing function for enterprises to revisit overarching business processes and data as well. So these types of digital transformation projects at a macro level can be long, painful, challenging, and if you don't recognize some wins along the way, you risk project fatigue, second guessing, frustration, frankly. So it is important to holistically look at the process and have a roadmap. But with a cloud-based metadata-driven platform like BillingPlatform and others that might be out there, you can start small. You can look at a line of business or a few and get them up and running quickly and really demonstrate value and success so that team members, stakeholders, executives can see progress and feel momentum.
Absolutely. So you guys have obviously some mid-size accounts, but you also have some very large accounts. Large not just in revenue terms, but in terms of the complexities of their business, their financial and business applications, and the complexities in terms of their business relationships, the customer relationships. In your experience, what are some of the unique challenges of those more sophisticated business models, and what do they require, what do they demand of their monetization efforts to be successful?
Well, we talk about, at BillingPlatform, we talk about the power of the platform and the flexibility that the platform offers, and the fact that our customers truly have the ability to autonomously manage that solution themselves. I don't remember which Spider-Man movie it was, but with great power comes great responsibility, right? So, you take an extreme case where, you have an enterprise that has been managing billing for the last 15 years of growth manually. Everything is on spreadsheets. Every contract is unique. And when you start to think about automation, you don't necessarily want every customer relationship to be a snowflake. Our most successful customers don't simply try to replicate exactly what they do now. What they are looking to do is to leverage this opportunity to make changes and improve the customer experience. And because billing touches so many parts of the customer journey, you need participation and commitment from a variety of stakeholders: finance, operations, product, sales. All of these entities need to be involved.
So if we hone in a little bit more, there are also companies that are trying to evolve from a set of monolithic ERP systems and get to something more modern, something more agile. Mm-hmm. What have you seen specifically in those cases that they're kind of the critical success factors? Because there's a lot of legacy, not just in the system, but also in the process and the organization around that. How do you try to move that forward?
I do think about companies that are truly ripping the Band-Aid off. Companies like Carrier Global, they were spun off from United Technologies and are truly reimagining how technology enables business processes in a more innovative way. For years and years, I think enterprises have had priority after priority that has gotten in the way of improving quote-to-cash processes and the technologies that support them. I mentioned it earlier, but you might not, but others might be amazed at how many large companies are still managing billing processes, for example, through spreadsheets, let alone legacy on-premise technology. So I think that with the increasing focus on recurring revenue relationships, it's getting harder to ignore and harder still to simply throw bodies at the problem and think that they're going to have better outcomes.
So you mentioned Carrier and how, they're an example of a company that had invested an enormous amount of money and resource into their ERP infrastructure globally, and are now looking at how can they redesign process and go to market. There's enormous demand. We saw it last year with the pandemic, but it's a persistent demand, which is a demand for business agility. The ability to respond and adjust pricing, offers, product capabilities, and do it in a way that's both proactive as a step to take advantage of market opportunities, but also to be able to do it reactively very quickly in response to competitive threats. In your experience, kind of
Yep.
what separates the companies that are really good at being agile versus those that aren't? What are they doing that really distinguishes them?
It's a good question. If I think about it, I think it does come down to in many of our experiences, it does come down to the commitment from the enterprise across the various functions, because I truly don't believe when you do consider that billing touches all elements of the enterprise, if you don't have that level of buy-in and commitment from the executives, from the stakeholders, from the line of business leadership, there's no way that you can reimagine and really kind of drive true digital transformation unless you have an enterprise's support across the board.
And do you think that comes from the organization, like these people that really want to change or take advantage of these opportunities? Do you think that is driven or compelled by financial data? Is it on the hard numbers that says, here's what we can do or achieve financially by investing here? Or is it driven by extreme pain or customer friction or revenue leakage? Or is it some combination of both?
I think that it oftentimes, especially at the enterprise level, we've seen that it's been driven by extreme pain that is typically heard through the voice of the customer. So you have the enterprises that have said, well, let's just hire 3 more people that can manage this process. And as you know, and probably everyone attending knows, that you start to think about manual support of any types of processes, and you have all of the relevant risks, the people risks, the process risks, the ability the lack of ability to analyze and assess and identify trends. When you start to hear the customer raise their voice in a really meaningful way, that's when the enterprise really starts to take action.
We've been talking about the kind of monetization journey that organizations go through, and those journeys, as you mentioned earlier, they kind of ebb and flow, right? You start a project, there's a excitement around the kickoff. And then you get into, the valley of despair, and you come out of that. One thing that we've seen with a lot of your customers is that they actually keep going on in terms of continuously improving in their environments and adding new capabilities. What do you think it takes to get the mindset to do that, so that it's not just, hey, we're going to start this, it's a 6-month effort, and once we're done, we can all walk away and move on to the next thing? But how do you get into that mindset of continuous, not just continuous improvement, but continuous adoption of capabilities around monetization?
The first thing that jumps to mind for me, perhaps it's two things. Like any sort of major initiative where you're rethinking your operational processes, there's not necessarily a goal line. It's a journey, and so you need to be able to have platforms and solutions that will give you the flexibility to think about not only what you need to accomplish today, but think about what's next, and be able to anticipate that kind of opportunity. The other, and this is probably a little bit more tactical or selfish, but I'm talking generally about recurring revenue relationships and how our solutions support those types of relationships. But at a tactical level, and this is for any company, but something that we do, we're very committed to, is the concept of ongoing long-term customer success. So, we can provide a service to our customers, but we need to continue to keep earning their business, so to speak. And what that entails is a variety of tactics that we employ, that where we work with our customers from both we'll spend on a quarterly or half-year basis, we'll do a day in the life with our customer, really trying to understand what they're doing now, how it has evolved since we first went live, so that we can think about how to continue to mold our solution and our service around their unique business processes to continue to support them. And a variety of other tactics, like we have executive sponsorship programs. We actually look at the data that we see from our customers, so we can help them to identify trends and be proactive and where there may be opportunities to gain additional value or efficiencies.
What do you think are the most commonly overlooked, but let's call it crucially important areas of a monetization effort that you've seen? What do people typically forget or look back and say, geez, we wish we would have done that earlier?
So I could probably come up with a fair number of them, but I'll focus on two. One, I don't know that it's ever overlooked, but I think that it should probably be looked at a little bit with a little bit more focus, which is data. I don't think anybody anticipates enough how important the underlying data is going to impact the success or failure of an initiative. Depending on the company, it's everywhere. It hasn't been rationalized. Different systems are using data differently and aren't connected. So an account in your CRM system is going to look different than an account in your ERP system. So when you start to connect the entire end-to-end process through to your general ledger, you have to understand that there is translation that needs to happen and rationalization that needs to happen along the way. I think that's an important pillar of any successful monetization initiative. The other one that I will bring up is every company does billing, right? So it's not new, but just because you do it now doesn't mean you can't be doing it better. So when you embark on these types of initiatives, take the opportunity to think about what your future holds and try not to replicate the sins of the past. I can't tell you how many times our project teams will hear something like, well, this is the way we've always done it, so we're going to do it this way still. And not at least challenge the notion. It may be the right way, but challenge the notion and explore it a little bit before you say, okay, I just want to replicate what I did before, because I think those things will prepare your organization for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to reiterate, in our experience, one of the top 3 reasons projects fail or come in way under the expected objectives is uniquely tied to data and the issues around data. So I would absolutely underline that. We have just a couple minutes, 1 minute left here. What's one thing every CEO or CFO should know about BillingPlatform, but they don't yet?
I'm thinking about the corny answers, but I think every CEO and CFO is aware that the rules of the game are changing. The competitive environment, the more creative solutions coming to market, recurring revenue relationships becoming the norm, COVID. You can't look past that either. CEOs and CFOs should be aware that our reason for existing is to address these themes. It's to break down the walls from product inception to revenue, and to enable enterprises to deliver a frictionless experience to their customers.
Terrific. Dennis, thanks very much. I want to thank you for joining us today. And I'd like to thank everyone out there for joining us. I know there's more information at the BillingPlatform booth. You're going to be around for the networking. So thanks again, and thank everyone for joining us. And that concludes our session. Thanks.
Thanks, Andrew, and thanks to everyone at the team at MGI.